Hello everybody, my name is Lehane and this is Rainier Books. It's been a couple of days since I've been on BookTube, where I do videos about newer books, sometimes about backlist books and books that I pick up from the library. A couple of days ago I made a video about the Booker Prize and I made some sort of rant that some people liked and some people didn't. But that is just the way it is. I was not sort of saying that we should boycott the Booker Prize. I was just saying that in my eyes, the Booker Prize is way too dominant among all the other good awards that are existing and among the things that we individually want to read and that we individually want to maybe promote or tell other people about it. And I just think it's a little sad that there's so many very good booktubers out there who now concentrate a lot on the Booker Prize and we don't get much other content from them. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say in that video. So the National Book Award, for example, will come in a few weeks with its long list, and we should look at that too. The Scotiabank Giller Prize always delivers a very good selection of Canadian literature. We should look at that too with the same eyes and not think that one jury is superior to another jury. They aren't. They all have good people, they all have great critics and writers, and they all pick good books. So look at the other awards too and still read your individual taste. And let not an award dictate you what you have to read for the next 6 or 8 weeks. So let's talk about the books that I'm currently reading, even some books that I've finished. I finished a book that I already brought back to the library. I will make a single review about it, I promise. And that is Dennis Lehane's new thriller, Small Mercies. This plays in Boston, Massachusetts. Like many books of Dennis Lehane play in Boston because I think he was born and raised there. He lives in California now with his family. He's one of America's most successful thriller writers, and he really knows how to write a great thriller. And this is also a very, very good book about a woman, Mary Pat, from Southie, from the Irish part of Boston in the 1970s, actually in 1974. And her daughter goes missing, and her daughter doesn't return home, and she also hears that a black boy has been killed in the same night that her daughter disappeared, and there's a connection. And she has to sort of go back to all the Irish contacts that she has in that part of Boston where everyone knows each other apparently. And there's a guy called Marty Butler who's running the underworld, the crime world of Southie. She even has to go to them in the end. I will say more about that book in a short single review. Another book that I have finished, will not be so interested about this because it isn't in English. This is called inte, hälften by Nilla Fischer. Nilla Fischer has been, she's 38 years old now. She has been a football player, soccer player for the Swedish national team. She played with VfL Wolfsburg, a German top team in Europe, many years, also with the Swedish national team, I think 189 caps for Sweden. And in this book, inte, hälften, I didn't even say half of it. She is telling us about her life, about her coming out as a gay woman, about the difficulties of women in general to play football and the huge difference that there is. And she tells about her career in the national team, about her relationship, not so good relationship to former US coach and then Sweden coach and now Brazil coach, Pia Sundhage. Very bad things actually that she tells about Sundhage, and Sundhage wasn't amused by it. She has said afterwards that, well, Nilla has this memories of this time, I have different memories. This book is not so well written. I really didn't like the writing of Anna Friberg. She's a Swedish journalist. She has written that book together with Fischer, and it's so simple language, like somebody who's going to high school would have written it, and that's really not good. But as a dumb football, as a women's soccer aficionado, I read this in 2 or 3 hours and got some interesting information out for myself. Nilla Fischer is a great player, and she was a great player, a great defender, one of the greatest in the world. She was 2 times in the World 11 by FIFA, and she had a great career, and she's really a role model. And the story of her coming out, which she is stressing quite a lot in this book, I think, and the relationship to her wife, Mika, is important for young girls and even young boys, I think, who are gay and who are afraid of coming out. She's telling them You don't have to be afraid. Go your own way. Follow your arrow wherever it points, like Casey Musgrave sang in that beautiful song a couple of years ago. So let's get to the books that I'm reading currently. Still reading Show Me the Bodies, How We Let Grenfell Happen by Peter Apps, British journalist who has written about the horrible Grenfell Tower fire in London, where 71 people were killed in 2016. If you don't know about that, if you are from outside the UK, from the US or Australia or Canada or wherever, and you don't know so much about the Grenfell fire, you can Google it. Google Grenfell. It was one of the greatest scandals in younger British history, I think, if not the biggest, because this fire could have been avoided. And Apps is showing that in the book, that the City Council in London, the developers and the people who have made cladding, who have put cladding into the facade of the house, that they have made huge mistakes and they didn't care about the human lives that were at stake, although they knew it was dangerous. Another book that I'm currently reading, this is the second one, is by Ryu Murakami, and it's called Piercing. Ryu Murakami is one of Japan's absolutely cult horror authors, and this is the second book that I'm reading of him. The first one was called In the Miso Soup, which is also horror. This is a strange story about a man. His name is Kawashima Masayuki. Kawashima Masayuki is married. He has a little daughter, toddler, a couple of months old. And every night, this guy stands with an ice pick in his hand in front of the bed of his own little daughter. And, well, this is it's pretty creepy, right? And he has never told his wife that he stabbed a woman with an ice pick a couple of years ago. Horror, creepy horror by Ryu Murakami, but he really knows how to write horror. I've visited, if you have seen my Poland vlogs recently, I was in Poland for 11 days. I visited Krakow, beautiful city in the south of Poland. Then we went to Auschwitz, my daughters and I, and visited the concentration camp. I've made a video about this visit too, a very short visit, where I also recommended a couple of books. And I am actually reading one of these books now that I recommended. This is The Choice, Embrace the Possible by Dr. Eva Eger. This is such an incredible woman. She's a Holocaust survivor. She is still alive. She's 96 years old, I think, this year. Edith Eva Eger. She became a psychologist. She lives in San Diego, California. And her story, how she with her sister came to Auschwitz, had to say goodbye to their mother. The mother was sent to the gas chamber directly. How she danced for one of the most evil persons of the 20th century. How she had to dance for Dr. Josef Mengele, who then fled to Brazil, was never caught by police, never put in front of a court. This story is incredible. But this is not only about Auschwitz, this book. This book is also about how Edith Eger's life went after that, how she has helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people with severe psychological problems, with post-traumatic stress syndromes. In the very beginning of the book, in the introduction or the foreword, she meets a Vietnam veteran. And this guy is totally disturbed, aggressive, and maybe also dangerous. And then he understands when he talks to Dr. Eger that actually Dr. Eger has had experiences that at least are comparable to his ones. And reading the chapters, I've read the first 6 chapters about the growing up and about coming to Auschwitz, about surviving Auschwitz, about coming to Mauthausen, about surviving the Grey Stairs, really makes you cry a lot. I cried a lot reading this book, but it's so important, it's so beautifully written. And if you see videos, there are lots of videos on YouTube where you can see Dr. Eger talking to audiences, getting standing ovations by generations after the Second World War, where she tries to teach that you can survive, that they can't break you if you just let your mind, if you just understand that they can't break your mind. They cannot break what's inside your mind. And this is great, a great book, an important book, The Choice by Dr. Edith Eva Eger. The book that I'm reading currently for the FIFA Women's Soccer World Championship readathon, because I was lucky, because in the readathon, the rule is that you get a country assigned to you, one of the 32 countries which were in the World Cup, and now we have only 8 left. If your country loses, then you have to pick another nation. That means you have to read something from your country, from an author of your country. And I was sort of cheating a little bit. I cheated a little bit, but France is also cheating a little bit. So France was my country. And what I'm reading is Mohamed Mbougar Sarr's novel, Die geheimste Erinnerung des Menschen, The Most Secret Memory of Man, which will be released in English in September. And I can tell you already, pre-order this book. Read it, buy it, it's so beautiful. I read the first 5 chapters again yesterday to now get into that novel, because France is going to meet Australia on Saturday, and maybe they lose to Australia, which would mean that I would have to read something by an Australian author. This is a great book from a Senegal author from Senegal, Mohamed Mbougar Sarr, the first Muslim author who won the Prix Goncourt, the most important, the Booker of France, if you want, the National Book Award of France, for Die geheime Erinnerung der Menschen. Another book that I haven't started yet from the from my visit in Auschwitz, the recommendation list that I gave to myself and to you, is here, winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, Dr. Elie Wiesel, and his book Night, which is also an account about the destruction, the extermination camp of Auschwitz and the Holocaust, which I think is very important for us to reflect, to read about. Then on my Kindle, almost finished, I took that one with me to Poland, and whenever I travel to foreign countries, it's not so often anymore, but then I try to read something from that country. And what I'm reading here, almost finished, is Olga Tokarczuk from Poland, the Nobel winner, the Nobel laureate, and her novel Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, which is actually a quote from Robert Blake, the poet. Robert Blake, I think. And because Blake plays a role in this book about a woman in southern Poland, close to the Czech border, who has a really strange kind of behavior herself. She believes in horoscopes a lot. She's old, she's alone, she loves animals, and she has a very strange collection of friends, and then people start dying in her neighborhood, and not so much more at this point later on. I have another book here in Swedish that I haven't started yet. It's actually translated from the Spanish, translated by Hanna Nordenhög from the Spanish. This book is by Andrea Abreu. It's called Åsne Sommar. This is the cover. I like the English cover even more. It's an okay cover. This is about 2 girls living on the island. I think it's Mallorca or Menorca. Living on a Spanish island, and about a friendship between 2 12, 13-year-old girls, which is beautiful in the beginning, but then the main character, the protagonist, starts getting disgusted by her friend, and aggression builds up in her, and it leads to something bad. I don't know, I haven't read that book yet, but I want to get to it very soon. I got another book from 3 more books here from the library. One is called No Such Creature, which is a novel by the Canadian crime novel author Giles Blunt, one of my favorite crime authors. Giles Blunt is such a genius, and I'm very curious in reading this one here. Once again confirms the status as a master of crime fiction and creates 2 protagonists who will captivate you as much as they captivate their victims. And this is Giles Blunt is an author who always blends in nature a lot, like many Canadian authors in his writing. I don't know if I can make the next one. I got recommendations from some of my viewers on BookTube when I asked what is the best book that you read this year. I think there were at least 2 of you who said the best book I read this year, or one of the best, was The Deluge by Stephen Markley. I haven't heard so much about that book on BookTube, and I can understand why, because this has amazingly 880 pages. The Deluge by Stephen Markley. This is the book. Published, I think, it was a national bestseller. His first book was a national bestseller. His first book was called Ohio, and I really loved it a few years ago, about the opioid crisis in Ohio, more or less. This one came out in 2022, and this is a little bit different. This is about everything. It was been called a masterful, once-in-a-generation American epic. So this is an attempt maybe to write the great American novel once again. The first decades of the 21st century, the world is convulsing, its government mired in gridlock, while a patient but unrelenting ecological crisis looms. America is in upheaval, we know that, entered by violent weather and extreme politics. Hey, that's true. In 2013, Tony Pietros, a California-based scientist studying deposits of undersea methane, receives a death threat. His fate will become bound to a stunning cast of characters: a broken drug addict, a star advertising strategist, a neurodivergent mathematician, a cunning eco-terrorist, an actor turned religious zealot, and a brazen young activist named Kate Morris, who in the mountains of Wyoming begins a project that will alter the course of the decades to come. From the Gulf Coast to Los Angeles, the Midwest to Washington, D.C., their intertwined odyssey unfold against the stark backdrop of accelerating chaos as they summon courage, galvanize a nation full to their own fear, and find wild hope in the face of staggering odds. This sounds like one of the great American novels, the novels that I like, and maybe a little bit sounds also like this because it travels so much through different countries, through different states in the U.S., and has so much diverse characters that I'm reminded of Vanessa Vaselka's great novel, The Great Offshore Grounds, which was longlisted for the American National Book Award a couple of years ago. And then I will do the jury. I will be judging the BookTube prize, the final of the BookTube prize. Robert Sheard has created this amazing award. And now we are at a point where we have 6 fiction books in the final, and also 6 non-fiction, but I read the fiction. And I have to read, I think, 4 of them, 3 or 4. And 2 of them that I started. Now, one of them I've started on audio, and this is Trust by Hernan Diaz. I listened to the first 2 chapters of it, and another one that I got from the library here is How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. I haven't read that one before, and I will also have to get to it during August or September to deliver the results somehow by the end of September to Robert on the platform. And that is my current reading, also my TBR in a way, because some of the books I haven't started yet. I haven't started yet Nagamatsu or Markley, I haven't started Blunt, I haven't started Abreu, started a bunch of other books. So this is my TBR, and as you can see, there's a lot of library books, and I'm pretty proud of myself that I sort of resist what I did last year and the year before, that I bought books like every 2 weeks. I bought 2, 3, 4, 5 books and ordered them, and all the time packages were coming into my mailbox. I'm resisting that now quite good, and but I will soon order 1 or 2 books that probably the library won't get, because I'm guessing that they won't get these books. I will tell you more about it in another video. Thanks very much for today. What are you reading? What have you just finished? What would you recommend? Have you read any of the books that I'm reading or that I'm going to read? Please drop me a comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and slap me a like. This is very important for us on BookTube to gain likes and subscribers, to gain more sort of speed in the algorithm of YouTube. And we all have plans with our channels, and one of my plans and one of my dreams with this channel is not to make money, but to be able to ask authors to talk to me. And once you have like 1,280 is now, once you have 1,500 or 2,000 subscribers to a channel, I think an author might think about, oh, maybe I should talk to this guy, maybe I should talk to this woman. Could be good for my book and for my visibility. Thanks very much for watching, and I see you soon, hopefully. Bye.